Good morning. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Saving for Retirement web seminar. I'm Linda Williams, Community Outreach and Training Manager with Consumer Action. And joining me today, we have Mr. Robert Wright. He is a financial services professional. So I think we have a few minutes before we get started, about 4 minutes. So just sit back and relax now, because we believe in making learning comfortable. We're going to get started. Again, hello, my name is Linda Williams. I'm a Community Outreach and Training Manager with Consumer Action. I want to welcome you today to the Saving for Retirement web seminar. Joining me is Mr. Robert Wright. He is a financial services professional with Society for Financial Education and Development, and we are really happy to have him joining us today. The goal of the webinar today is twofold. First of all, as with all of our MoneyWi trainings, the goal is to show you new ways in which you can use the MoneyWi materials to lead trainings and help your clients and community members reach their financial goals. Second, as our dedicated, die-hard partners who are always looking out for and helping someone else, we want you to be a tad bit selfish today for the next hour and focus on yourself, which I'm sure you rarely have time to do. I work with nonprofits, so I know how busy you can be. We want you to revisit your goals. Envision what retirement will look like for you. Will it be a vision of you laying on the beach in Jamaica or in the south of France? Or will your vision be like my vision and be on the walls of my daughter's basement? And as you envision what your retirement will look like, if you don't like that picture, the goal today is to provide you with a few strategies that you can use to change that picture. It's never too late. I will spend about the first 28 to 23 minutes or so of the training reviewing money management concepts, focusing on spending habits, values, and asking you questions like, what's important to you? Focusing on goal setting, budgeting, barriers to budgeting, and most of all, strategies for saving money. The goal is to get you thinking about retirement strategies and moving towards or updating your retirement plan. Then I would turn the training over to Mr. Wright, and he's going to take you on this fabulous journey, and he will walk you through the 5 steps of retirement. And as you take those steps through retirement, will you be able to feel the Jamaican sun on your face, or will the walls in my daughter's basement become clearer to you? Mr. Wright will also provide you with a few of the answers to a few of the questions you submitted when you registered for the training. So, why is the focus today of retirement? Well, saving for retirement is the focus of both the managing your money and saving to build wealth MoneyWi modules. And as I advance through my segment, I will point to you pages in both booklets and also the Leader's Guide, where you can obtain additional information on a few of the subjects discussed today. Saving for retirement is also a very timely subject right now. I mean, there's a wealth of articles that's been published in 2015 already on the state of Americans with their retirement. For an example, according to U.S. News, the youngest baby boomer will turn 51 this year, and boomers born between 1946 and 1964 are beginning to retire and grow. Yet another article published in the Huntington Post states that the median American, and listen to this, headed into retirement has just enough wealth, just enough money to live on for a little more than 3 years. 3 years. And bankrate.com found that 26 of Americans ages 50 to 65 haven't even started saving for retirement. They have no savings. It's going to get mighty crowded down in my daughter's basement. And for those who have started saving, women, as usual, are lagging behind. And to add insult to injury, for Americans ages 55 to 64, their net worth, the equity they own in their homes, and other values and assets is falling at the precise time in their lives when those values should be rising as they near retirement. I know that's a lot to think about, but did I get your attention? Are you ready to go through this? Okay, let's get started. I want to begin by asking you, what is money management? What is money management? Think about that for a second. What is money management? And if you can see the screen, there's a definition of money management on the screen. How many of you agree with the definition on the screen? If you agree with that definition, that money management is knowing how to save, how to spend, and invest your money so that you and your family can successfully work towards your financial goals, then tell me this. What kinds of activities are a part of money management? Feel free to type in some answers. You can type in a couple of answers. Audrey will capture those answers, and she will give them to me, and I'll read a couple of them out for you. So what kinds of activities are a part of money management? Type. While I'm waiting on those answers, I'll share with you a few that I have. What about using credit wisely? Do you think that's an activity that is a part of money management? Yeah. Many consumers don't see using credit wisely as a part of money management. What about protecting and defending yourself against identity theft and scams? Yeah. Very much a part of money management. Why? Because if you're not checking that credit report and someone has stolen your identity and have opened up all of this credit in your name, you won't know it. And if you are able to get credit or insurance, it's going to be at a higher rate than it would be. If you're a trainer, money management can be one of the most difficult subjects to present. Why? It's difficult because you are discussing personal finances. You're teaching them how to improve, how to change or modify their behavior. And as humans, we don't like to modify our behavior. We are adults. We like doing what we want to do when we want to do. We don't want to change behaviors. We definitely don't want somebody telling us that we need to change our behavior. And some of us have our emotions tied up in our money, which leads me to the very next question. And that is, what does money mean to you? What does money mean to you? There is one thing that most financial experts agree on, and that is how you feel about money is what drives your spending behavior. So what does money mean to you? I want you to stop now and just jot down a few things, and you can type them in on the board, and Audrey will give them to me in the chat section. What does money mean to you? Not to your clients. Don't think about your clients, but to you, and be honest with yourself. Type in a few answers, and I will share a couple of those answers, and then I'll share with you what money means to me. And you have like a half a minute to type in some answers. Type. Come on, Audrey. Give me those responses. I'm seeing investment. Okay. Type. Okay. Would you agree with me if I said that money means different things to different people? Yeah, I agree. Your age, your culture, and our emotions, they all have an impact on the way that we view money and the way that we spend our money. Let me just use myself and give you an example. As a single mom raising 5 kids on one income, during that time in my life, money meant being able to send my kids to private school, being able to pay my mortgage, to feed the family, to keep the kids in sports so they stay off the streets while I was working. Money means finding SAT, some of the top SAT classes to put my kids in. Why? So they can get into a good college and not come back home. You know, getting off the bus and into a car. All of the items I just mentioned, they drove my spending behavior. They were a priority to me. I bought my designer shoes at Payless. Why? Because I didn't have any money left over after taking care of those priorities. Now, today, my kids are grown and gone. When they graduated from high school, I gave them a set of luggage and wished them safe travels. See you later, bye. Now, money means something totally different to me. Now my values have changed. The way that I see money has changed. I'm no longer looking to pay private school tuition or SAT classes. Now money means bringing sexy back for me, getting me a little nip and a little tuck and a little Botox. Why? Because I want to be the sexiest grandmama laying on the beach in retirement in Jamaica rubbing on some washboard abs. Money means something totally different to me. If you're a trainer, this is a great exercise for training participants. Why? Because money means different things to different people. And often that meaning is influenced by an individual's emotions and culture. As a trainer, you need to know this information so that you can integrate the meaning into your discussion about money management. Remember, we all don't look alike. We all don't think alike or walk alike. So we all don't learn in the same ways. Therefore, tailoring and delivering your training materials to meet the needs of your diverse audience is imperative. So question, what is a financial value? Go ahead, type in a few answers. What are financial values? What are financial values? This is an important part of money management. Why? Because we know from research that those who have a clear idea of what's important to them are generally happier in life than those who don't. How your clients direct their wealth play a crucial part in this. What are values exactly? Values are those foundational principles that guide our lives and our decision-making process. Sometimes they were developed when we were young, when the little boy next door got a bicycle and we got one skate. And it was like, when I grow up, I'm going to have everything I want. So those values could have been formed a long time ago. When our actions are aligned with our values, we feel content and we feel satisfied. We rarely think about our values, especially in the middle of a money management training, but they deserve our attention. If you're a trainer, you can use the money management note-taking guide, and I think they were put in your Dropbox before the training to guide and to encourage your clients to jot down what's important to them. Many consumers have never had the opportunity or tools to think about their values in a structured way. So when you ask them what's important to them, they don't know how to respond. Can values change? Yeah. Remember that exercise we just did, what money means to you? Values change all the time. So checking your values is a lifelong activity that your clients need to revisit often. So what are your financial goals? Tell me this. What does a financial goal look like? Feel free to type in a few answers. I'll give you a second to type in some of those answers and give them to Audrey, and she can put them in the chat box. Type. You think you were just going to sit here and listen to me talk and not work? No, I believe in working. You type. What does a financial goal look like? Okay, a few examples that I have are paying down debt. What do you think? Is that a financial goal? Maybe paying down that mortgage, paying off that mortgage before you go into retirement so you don't have house note to come out of your limited budget, getting rid of credit card debt, having some sufficient money for retirement. Are all of those financial goals? Yes. Your goals are a reflection of your values. So there's that V word again. Your goals are a reflection of your values. Goals are actionable, measurable items that fit under your values. If you turn to page 4 in the Help Your Savings Grow Leaders Guide, you will see that's listed there. The financial goals are personal benchmarks that you set for yourself throughout life. Not one time and forget about it, but personal benchmarks that you set for yourself throughout life. As your life changes, as you go through your life cycle, everything will change, and you have to continually set those personal benchmarks. Setting financial goals like planning your next vacation. In order to develop a travel itinerary, you need to know your starting point and destination. I'm flying from LAX to Jamaica. You need to know the cost, how much it's going to cost, the time frame of your journey. So what is your financial itinerary? Have you thought about it? If it is retirement, what is the starting point? Is it age 50, age 40, age 65? What is the destination? How far will your money take you? You know that commercial that you see often on television where they say, how much money do you have saved for retirement? Take this little ribbon and go as far as you think that money is going to take you. And a lot of people realize it's not taking them as far as they thought it would take them. That's what you need to be doing now. You need to look, if you have a retirement account set up, go online, get one of those retirement calculators, and look to see how far your money is going to take you. And if it's not taking you the way as far as you want it to go, then you have to cut the fat out of your budget and find some more money to put away for that. Specific goals have a clear chance of being accomplished. Your goals must be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. In other words, your financial goals should have a definite outcome, a deadline, and be within reach based upon your personal income, your assets, and the B word, your value. A goal is measurable when you are able to document clear progression from beginning to end. When you identify those goals that are most important to you, you develop attitude and you figure out a way for it to come true. I mean, think about that young man or that one young woman you spotted in a crowd a while ago and you said, I'm going to marry him. I'm going to marry her. Did you make getting that individual and making that individual your spouse an important goal for you? I mean, you may regret it now, but at that time you were on a mission to get that person. You changed your attitude. You made everything available for you. You did everything you could to get that person to be your spouse. That's the same thing what we are saying about your financial goals. Doing everything, going on a mission. Your goals must be realistic. Realism means asking yourself what you can achieve with the resources that you have at your disposal and being perfectly honest with yourself. This doesn't mean that you'll have to squash any goals you may have. It just means that you may have to adjust them for a time period. And your goals must be time-bound. Open-endedness is a goal nemesis. Being timely doesn't mean that you have to race to the finish line. It just means that you need to give yourself a finish line to run towards. That's all that means. And there are several studies out there that have shown the link between the act of planning and subsequent financial behavior. And those studies have found that no matter what their income is, people with an action plan save more or invest in smarter ways than those without a plan. So let's talk a little bit and move on to net worth. Trainers, it is imperative that your clients understand that the greater their net worth, the more likely they would be able to weather a difficult financial storm. Just think about this financial storm when we are coming out of. A lot of our clients lost a lot of their wealth in that storm. During the segment on what money means, a few of you wrote security, financial freedom. Both of those goals require some level of wealth. We all tend to focus on income as the primary measure of wealth, but most financial experts disagree. They say your net worth is actually a much better indicator. There's a great book, and every year I pull down this book after Christmas and I read it, and I'll take the things that's in this book and try and teach it to my grandkids. It's called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it is a great book to read and to pass on to your clients. So what is net worth? In a nutshell, your net worth is really everything you own of significance. That means your assets minus what you own in debt, your liabilities, assets including cash and investment, your home and other real estate, cars and everything that you own of value. Liabilities is what you owe on those assets, including your car loans, your mortgage, and your student loans. You're using a note-taking guide. There's a section where your clients can use the guide to calculate their net worth. And also on page 16 of the Savings to Build Wealth Seminar Lesson Plan, there's a form that you can take out of the lesson plan and make copies and give it to your clients so that they would be able to calculate their net worth. And before I move on, let me say one other thing. Your good credit is an asset. Most consumers don't realize that good credit is an asset. Why? Because unless you're a Kardashian, you may not be able to buy a house for cash. Trainers, listen. If you decide to use a note-taking guide in your money management training, here is a good time for you to start your discussion on credit. On page 18 of the Managing Your Money Leader Guide, there's a section that you can use to begin that session. And I'm going to talk a little bit now about alternative financial services, but I'm going to be really brief. And I know you're wondering, why is she talking about alternative financial services in the middle of a money management training? I'm discussing it here because these services and these products will not only wreak havoc on your client's budget, but these products will put your clients in a debt trap that last it can't rescue them from. If you are the trainer, it's imperative that you weave a segment on alternative financial services into your training on money management and credit as well. Lenders other than mainstream financial institutions offer these alternative financial products and services to individuals with blemish or limited credit history, and they carry predatory terms. They end up putting them in the debt trap that it could take them months to get out of. They are marketed as a quick and easy solution to an emergency, but it's not. They get caught in this trap. And this is an industry that studies their target, and they come up with commercials to just draw them in. I travel a lot for this job, and every state that I'm in, that little girl comes on the screen and goes, "Title Man's got your money, your real money." Change the station, and there she is again. The Center for Responsible Lending in 2013 identified 5 payday lending practices that contribute to a creation of a debt trap for consumers. You can get a copy of that report at www.responsiblelending.org/payday loans. Let's move on to budgeting and budgeting awareness. Here, I would like to answer one of the questions that was asked at registration. How can you save when there is nothing left at the end of the month? I read it again. How can you save when there's nothing left at the end of the month? My answer would be by making savings a priority, by working with what you have, within the 4 corners of what you have. If you don't have enough money to make ends meet, try putting your hobby to good use. If you can crochet, put something together and sell it. Do garage sales. If you're a good cook and everyone is telling you how much they love your red velvet cake, stop giving it away and start selling it. It beats taking out a payday loan. Try budgeting. Try checking and changing your spending behaviors. Ask yourself this: does my spending match my values? You remember those things that you said that was important to you? Are you spending like retirement is important? If having enough money so that you can retire in dignity and not look at the walls in my daughter's basement, are you paying down debt? Are you avoiding new debt? Are you cutting the fat out of your budget and putting stuff away for retirement? So what is budgeting? Budgeting is simply a process of creating a plan to spend your money. Take for an example, if you were getting ready to write an article or a story, what would you do? You would sit down and you would write an outline. And you would use that outline to write your story. Well, it's the same concept applied for a budget. Just as an outline is a roadmap for your story, budget is just a roadmap for your finance. Why is budgeting important? Creating and following a budget can keep you out of debt or help you work your way out of debt if you are in debt. I'm going to restate that question again. How can I save when there's nothing left at the end of the month? I would say by paying yourself first. Why? When you pay yourself first, that means before you pay any bill, before you buy groceries, before you do anything else, you set aside a portion of your income, 10% if possible. If not 10%, at least 1%. Almost everyone can save 1% of his or her income, which is only 1 penny on the dollar. My mom is 94 years old. She lives in Little Rock, Arkansas. She gets $500 from my Social Security. And her savings account is bigger than mine. You can save if you make savings a priority. If you pay yourself first, you will find a way to make it to the end of the month. When you pay yourself first, you are mentally establishing savings as a priority. This habit that started early can help you build wealth, not just bank accounts, but build wealth. How can I save when there's nothing left at the end of the month? By avoiding and accumulating new debt. Take a look at the barriers to savings that are listed on page 3 of the Savings Leader's Guide. I realize, like I said earlier, some debt is necessary unless you're a Kardashian. How can I save when there's nothing left at the end of the month? Develop saving habits. The best way to establish saving habits is to make it as painless as possible. Make it automatic. Make it invisible. Consider having your income tax check, um, direct deposited into an account. That will get you started off for the year. Or taking some money out and put it into one of those saving vehicles that's described in helping your savings grow. And I don't know about you, but in carefully listening to Mr. Wright as he go through the 5 steps to retirement. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be taking notes because it's getting crowded in my daughter's basement. But before I turn it over to him, just a couple of articles that may interest you on saving. On American Save website at www.americasave.org, there are several articles such as 54 ways to save money, saving on a tight budget, and finding money to save. I went through those articles yesterday, and they are very good. And if you're interested in saving and saving is one of your goals, you may enjoy another article, the craziest things I did to save money. It's on the bankrate.com site. And if you want more of a visual learner, you can find a few videos on saving and cutting expenses on bettermoneyhabits.com website. The day after the training, you can always go to the Consumer Actions website and download a oldie but goodie that we have that's only available as a download, and it's called 64 Ways to Save. Now I'm getting ready to turn you over, so please let me introduce you to Mr. Wright. Mr. Wright?
Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it, and I'm so glad that we're having this conversation today because it's so important and so needed. So as Linda mentioned, I am an active financial representative, and in my practice, one of the things that we see is that there is a huge need for retirement education, and retirement now today actually means different things to different people. So I love this slide here where we have 2 folks laying on the beach because that's how I envision my retirement. Laying on the beach, taking it easy. So as Linda mentioned, we're going to talk about 5 different things that you can do when you're about to retire. And one of the questions that we received prior to this event is, how soon should I start planning for retirement, or at what age? I always say that 10 years out is a good time to actually do that. But it's really never too early or never too late to think about planning for retirement. Okay, so one of the first steps that you want to do is really envision your retirement. What does it look like? What type of lifestyle do you want to have? A lot of folks feel that, well, hey, you know what? I'm not going to have as many expenses in retirement as I have today while I'm working. While that may be true, retirement is really almost like a weekend. I call it forever Saturdays. So on Saturdays, what do you typically want to do? Go to the movies, spend time with family and friends, and typically you spend a lot more money on the weekends than you do during the weekday because you're commuting to and from work. So think about that. What does that really look like? Or do you want to retire in the city or state where you're currently residing? What is the cost of living looking like in that area? And then most importantly, what are your expected resources or sources of income, and where are those coming from? What have you saved? One really quick way to help individuals that you're speaking with about retirement planning is to say, well, how much money do you want in retirement? So here's a quick calculation. If we had $1 million, okay, and we never wanted to touch the principal, and it grew at a interest rate of 4%, which right now in this environment is really kind of unheard of. Okay, it's really hard to get your money to grow at 4% right now. But if you were to do that, that actually would yield you or give you $40,000 to live off of without touching the principal. So let's go over that again. $1 million growing at 4% interest, and we want to just live off the interest and not touch the principal. That yields us $40,000 a year. Now, here in the Metro DC area of Maryland, DC, Virginia, that's not going to cut it in this area. Now, I may be able to take that $40,000 and go back to my hometown of Charleston, South Carolina, and live comfortably. But that requires me to do what? To plan. And one of the things I always tell folks, it's not that we plan to fail, but we just fail to plan. So again, looking at the first step, we want to envision that retirement, put it down on paper, put down what obstacles we might encounter in retirement, and then also the sources of income. One of the biggest or major expenses in retirement that folks always overlook is health care. That's one of the first questions I always ask. Okay, so when you retire, whose health insurance are you going to carry on into retirement? And I get this blank look like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. And a lot of health plans only go to age 65, because why? There's Medicare, right? That's available to all those who are over the age of 65. So again, there are certain portions of that require payment. So you still need to make sure you have enough resources to even cover those expenses. Okay. Another thing that is not talked about is long-term care. Long-term care really is a insurance tool that provides you a pool of money per day that you can draw from, and definitely go out on the internet and look and see there are lots of companies out there that combine long-term care resources with life insurance policies and things like that. But you definitely want to, and there's also a governmental guide. It's called Shopping for Long-Term Care that you can also order from a governmental website. Number two, understanding the challenges. One of the major challenges in retirement is not knowing how long you or your spouse may live. As we see with the advances in medicine, we may not be 100%, right? We may not be as spry as we were when we were 25, but we are alive, okay? We may be sick, but we are alive. So that means what? That there is money being spent. And then one of the major concerns for all retirees is, did I save enough money? How can I make this money last for the rest of my life? And also, one of the things that we kind of overlook is the timing of our retirement, right? So my in-laws, wow, they've been retired now for almost about 15 years, but I always look and say, you guys got out at the right time, because not only did you have a 401k plan that you were saving to, but you actually have real pensions and you have gold watches, right? That doesn't exist anymore. So, when we retire, because we have our monies in these 401ks and 403bs and these retirement vehicles that we're saving on with pre-tax dollars, that money becomes taxable. And not only that, that money is in the market. So if the market is taking a downturn and we're taking our money out, we're locking in those losses, because that's where our nest egg is coming from. And it really can wreak havoc if there's a downturn in the market at the same time you retire and you start drawing out your funds at that particular time. So you really want to kind of monitor the stock market or equities market. Also make sure that you have other resources available other than just that 401k or 403b plan. Actually, let me go back to this one slide here, just understanding the challenges. One of the other things too, I know I mentioned that the age thing was huge, but I just wanted to point out that if a married couple reaches the age of 92 or 94, there's a 25% chance that one of those individuals will live to be over the age of 100. Think about that. Married couple, both living into their 90s, one of them has a 25% chance of living to be over 100. Linda did a great job talking about budgeting. And when you're talking with folks or working with folks or even doing your own retirement plan, um, you want to account for everything. When I'm sitting down with individuals, we talk about birthday gifts, presents, who's getting married, um, gifts for the grandchildren, all the holidays that are going to be coming up in the future years, right? Because Valentine's Day never stops, honeymoons never stop, right? So all of these different events where we usually exchange gifts, those need to be accounted for. Entertainment such as cable, television, you know, uh, I kind of live what I preach, and I got rid of the cable and I subscribe to Netflix and Hulu now because I couldn't see spending $170 every single month watching or paying for channels that I never really got to watch. So now I can pick and choose what I want to watch without commercials, right? Even the regular television shows, you can watch those on those different sites. But we want to make sure that we have in our budget our mandatory expenses and then everything else, right? So that would include your mandatory expenses would include things like if you have a car note or car repairs, auto repairs, home repairs, uh, your mortgage if you have a mortgage, rent if you're renting, um, fuel, utilities, um, life insurance policies that you have, the premiums are still going to be coming out. Um, any other major expenses, medical expenses, things that you don't want to skimp on that are going to cost you in the long run. So those are your mandatory expenses. Everything else is pretty much discretionary. And you want to make sure that either through Social Security or through annuities or other pensions that you may have coming to you, that you have enough to cover those expenses. Like I said, retirement has kind of changed for a lot of folks, and now some of my clients, when we sit down and we're doing their budgeting, I could think of one client in particular. She retired fairly young in her early 50s, and she said, so what do I do now? I said, well, we have to go through all your expenses. So we did that, and we found out that she was going to be $300 short every single month, right? So we sat down and we started brainstorming. As Linda was talking about turning your hobbies into money making ideas, that's exactly what she did. She loves to make jewelry, so she goes and she does shows on the weekends and she sells her jewelry. And I said, every single month you have to at least make $300. That keeps your life the same as it was, and you continue to live your lifestyle the way that you had envisioned it. So that's her thing. Or I have another client who went and started doing substitute teaching, to supplement her income only because she likes to gamble. Okay, but those are some things you want to make sure that you write everything down that you can think of, budget-wise, that you are going to encounter still in retirement. So types of retirement plans and what makes the difference, okay, or what's the difference. So we have, again, we talked about the 401ks and 403bs, and those are the things that are provided by our employers, right? So we put our money in, it goes in pre-tax, It grows tax deferred, so we don't pay any taxes on it. We don't receive any 1099 interest statements during the time this money is growing. However, in retirement, that the taxes are due. Okay, so we have to pay taxes on that money, and and so then we have other types of retirement plans called IRAs. Those are individual retirement accounts. Okay, so you have your traditional, and then you have your Roth IRAs. And the differences between those is basically the traditional are pre-tax dollars. They've never been taxed before. They grow tax deferred. You pay taxes when the money comes out. Also with the traditional, you have to start taking the money by 70 and a half. Okay, the government says we're going to give you all this time to stack as much money as you can into these. We do have limits as to how much you can contribute every single year, which basically for anyone under the age of 55, you can contribute 5,500. After age 55, you get a little catch up that lets you do 6,500. Okay. Then you have your Roth IRA. Your Roth IRA are dollars that have been taxed. So these are after-tax dollars that you put into the Roth IRA. Again, they grow tax-free, and typically you receive those monies on a tax-free basis. So you're not paying taxes on that. That's one of the great shelters that we have. Again, there are limits, just like with the traditional IRA. 5,500 before age 55. After that, you get a little catch up, 6,500. Okay, but again, the major difference is with the traditional IRA, you're going to pay taxes on that money when it comes out. With the Roth IRA, you won't pay taxes when it comes out, and also there's no requirement that you start taking the money, so you can actually have this retirement account, all the way through age 90. Okay, so that's one of the great things about that particular plan, IRA plan. So step number 4, evaluate your options and make a plan. So just as Linda was speaking about, how do you save? Again, how do you retire? So one of the things that I tell folks, if you've not saved enough, and by the way, in 2013, there was a study done. The median retirement account among households headed by people ages 55 to 64 was only $14,000. Okay, that's it. That was the amount they saved. So if you don't have enough money to carry you through retirement, what you have to do is make sure that your bills are paid off, that you don't have any debt, that your mortgages, at least one of your properties, is free and clear. That you can live there and just pay the taxes, whether it be local or state taxes or what have you, that you have enough money coming in to at least cover that, and then your living expenses. But you want to get rid of your debt. There's no sense in buying that larger home in your 60s, okay, or buying that new car and having a car note going into retirement. Look at your vehicle, assess your vehicle before you retire. Say, hey, can I deal with driving this car for the next 15, 20 years, or do repairs to that car? Fix that car in a way that it will last you that time period. And another thing, don't start major projects with your home going into retirement where you're racking up an immense amount of debt. I know a lot of people that say, hey, I want to make sure my house is in tip-top shape before I retire because I don't want anything to happen. Well, here's the downside to that. What are you going to be spending your time on? So maybe some of those projects are some projects you might be able to tackle on your own, because we know now through studies that active people in retirement, have healthier lives. So why not, rather than going into debt, going into retirement, do some of those major home projects yourself during retirement? Probably be more cost effective, and it keeps you busy. You have something to do. Um, and then uh, the other thing is in evaluating your options is looking at what you're capable of doing in retirement, as far as helping with the grandkids or relocating, um, starting a nonprofit organization or being involved in more in your community. What are the things that you want to do, and how are you going to be able to do that? And with that being said, don't do it by yourself. Get your children involved. Um, you know, one of the major things that we do in my household is that we, with my in-laws and my parents, we have conversations, constantly about how's everyone's health, how is everyone's bank accounts doing, what are some of the major challenges that are going on, because we're family and we're communities, and if everyone reaches out and helps each other, it makes retirement just that much. Working with a financial professional um, really helps. Um, did you know that only of folks who work, 31% of the pre-retirees that work with the financial professional have a actual formal plan for managing their income, assets, and expenses during retirement? There's a huge need for us to engage our financial services professionals in a way of not just accumulation, but actually helping us descend the mountain. I've read an article that said uh, twice as many people die coming off of Mount Everest than actually ascending. And the reason being is because we have all the help in the world, right? Everyone gets the guide to go up the mountain because they want to know all the pitfalls and perils that they may face going up the mountain, but no one ever really gets that guide to help them go down the mountain. And that's really where we need the help. We've accumulated all these assets or have not accumulated enough, and we get to the top of the mountain, and now it's time to live the rest of our lives, and that's where we really need the help. So that's, again, I tell folks, if you don't have a planner helping you, accumulate your funds, definitely get someone to help you disseminate those funds in a responsible, tax efficient way. And with that being said, like I mentioned earlier, people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. And I'm glad we're having this conversation again. And let's go out there and help these folks. And with that,